Hey everybody! I'm here today to show you, and more specifically show you and tell you both together, how to replace skateboard bearings. These will be easy instructions for beginners. So let's get right into this video instructional tutorial. So once again, this video will be showing you, and it will be specifically about how to replace skateboard bearings easily. And once again, these will be easy instructions for absolute beginners. Let's get right into this video. As you can see right here, I'm just going to flip my screen out so I can see what you all see on this video. As you can see right over here, now that I can see what you see, this is a wheel, and inside of this wheel are two bearings, okay? So very simply put, we want to remove the wheel, okay? If you want to replace the bearings to make your wheel spin faster, you got to remove the wheel. So I'm just going to get this wrench, and I'm going to take this wheel off. Okay, so to take the wheel off, you just remove the nut over here. Don't lose it. Make sure you keep track of it. Here it is. I'm going to place it safely over here. There's also going to be a speed washer over here. So I'm going to just pop out that speed washer right over here. We don't want to lose this either, so I'm going to place it over there. And there's also another speed washer at the bottom over here, but I'm just going to leave that in place. So to replace your bearings on your skateboard wheels, really easy to do. There are two bearings, and there's probably going to be a spacer between them. All that you got to do is, there's a bearing on each side. So there's a bearing right over here, and there's a bearing right over here. And they can't go from one side to the other because there's a little bit of sort of wheel material, like a plasticky sort of material between them that prevents them from, being pushed from one side to the other. So you got to take them off on their own side, okay? So what you want to do is take the bearing itself, and you want to place it on the axle and use the axle as leverage to pry it off. So essentially, I'm going to take this bearing over here, I'm going to place it on the axle. You can see it's on the axle, and I'm going to twist the wheel on an angle to pry it off, just like this. Okay, I'm twisting it on an angle and sort of wiggling it, and there you go. We've now removed the bearing, and this is the spacer that I was talking about. It just goes in the middle there, and I'll show you how to put that back in a second. But as you can see, that's one of the bearings, and this bearing cannot go through to the other side. I can push it as hard as I want, it's not going to go through. So to remove this bearing, I do the same thing with this side over here, just like this. Pop it out of place. If you get it out like that much, you can even just use your fingers to pull it out of place. So we've now removed the bearings. As you can see right here, the wheel is empty and it's just the shell of the wheel. When you're ready to put your new bearings on your wheel, you want to get those new bearings. I'm just going to use the same ones because these ones are perfectly fine. You want to get your new bearings and you just want to press them in place. Now, for the most part, the bearings won't have an orientation, meaning they won't have to go in one way or the other. I don't know of any bearings that have to go in a certain way, but they might exist. So I can't say for all bearings you can put them in any way, but basically for the most part you can put them in any way that you want. So I'm going to take this bearing right here, I'm going to place it inside of the wheel, I'm going to line it up, I'm going to just use my finger to push it down, just like that. If you're struggling, you can place the bearing on the axle, and you can just use the wheel to sort of push down onto the bearing on the axle. But for the most part, you could just push it down with your finger. I'll take it out again just to show you how quick and easy it is. So take the bearing, right? Oop, I'm losing the wheel here. Take the bearing, line it up on the wheel, and then just push it in with your finger till you can't push anymore. The bearing is in place. Then if your wheel has a spacer over here, you're going to place your spacer right there in that sort of little lipped area. There's an area that's like smaller. That spacer just goes there. Just, I don't know. I don't think every wheel has a spacer, but I do believe that many of them do. Then you're going to take your other bearing, and you're going to put your other bearing in the other side like this, in the other hole, just like that. Squeeze them together just to make sure that they're in place. Spin the wheel like that, and you should be good to go. And when you're reinstalling the wheel, you want to put it back in place. Obviously, make sure that spacer's lined up nicely. Put it back in place like that. Make sure you put your speed washer back in place as well. Get your nut, finger tighten it down just with your fingers really quickly. Just give me a second here, having some trouble. There you go. And then get your wrench or whatever tool you're going to use and tighten up that nut onto the axle to keep the wheel in place. And that is it. And like I said, essentially I use the same bearings, but if you're replacing the bearings, you're obviously going to use new ones. But I use the same ones just because they're perfectly fine. But obviously if you're replacing them, you're going to be replacing the old ones with the new ones. And that's it. It's really easy to do. I hope you have truly enjoyed this video tutorial. If you like this instructional video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment, and of course be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.